The Galactic Council chamber floated above the amber clouds of Veil 9, like a cathedral of light. Marble from 3 worlds gleamed beneath a dome woven from living crystal. Delegates from 100 species shimmered in their ceremonial hues, some scaled, some furred, some made of mist, and all of them waited for the human. They had summoned her with the same mixture of curiosity and dread one reserves for a dangerous pet. When the doors parted and General Amelia Hayes stepped inside, every conversation faltered, as though the air itself had tightened its grip. She walked with a poise too calm for the occasion. Her uniform was a deep navy trimmed with gold, her boots whispering against the obsidian floor. She smiled at the guards, nodded politely at the translators, and took her seat as if she were arriving for afternoon tea rather than interrogation by the most powerful beings in the galaxy. A faint aroma of coffee followed her. The aliens flinched as if it were some weaponized scent. The Thor Chancellor, a towering reptilian with silver scales, opened the session by slamming his clawed fist on the table. General Hayes of Earth, this council demands clarity. In the span of a single galactic year, your species has ended 7 major wars. Entire empires capitulate in weeks. We would understand how. Amelia folded her hands. Of course, Chancellor. I admire your efficiency in scheduling this meeting. We humans can be unpredictable with our calendars. Laughter rippled from a few human sympathetic delegates. Most of the chamber remained tense. The historian from Saros 3 adjusted his monocle, his jelly-like body quivering. Our data suggests Earth's military capacity is primitive. Projectile weapons, combustion engines, localized AI. Yet your campaigns succeed against fleets 10 centuries ahead of you. Explain the discrepancy. Amelia tilted her head, studying him as though considering how to phrase politeness in a new language. Maybe we just don't enjoy dragging things out. When we fight, we like to be home before dinner. The translator rendered the sentence perfectly, yet most of the chamber misunderstood the humor. The Vorn strategist hissed, "You trivialize interstellar warfare?" "Not at all," Amelia replied, still smiling. "We take it very seriously. We just learned long ago that wars are like fires. Let them burn too long, and everyone loses their house." A murmur of confusion spread. The metaphor required cultural context. Several delegates leaned toward their aides for explanation. One aide whispered, "Humans set controlled fires to prevent worse ones." The realization sent a ripple of unease through the hall. The Sarosian historian continued, voice trembling. "Then perhaps you rely on intimidation. Some say your soldiers shout as they charge. That you name your machines after predators." Amelia's eyes glinted with amusement. "Only to keep morale high. You'd be surprised what a bit of noise does to courage, ours and theirs." The Thor Chancellor leaned forward, steam curling from his nostrils. "You mock this council. We require full disclosure of your strategic methods. This is not a request." Amelia straightened slightly, the polite warmth in her face cooling to professional distance. "I assure you, Chancellor, Earth respects the Concordium's authority. If you wish to understand how we win wars, I'm happy to demonstrate. But understand this, explanations can be loud." Her words hung in the air like a subtle static charge. Somewhere in the rafters, a drone flickered nervously and fell silent. The Arleth ambassador, a gelatinous sphere perched atop a grav cushion, pulsed with blue light. "Human, our records indicate you used minimal fleets and outdated weaponry against the Zath rebellion. Yet the conflict ended within 9 days. How?" Amelia shrugged gently. "We offered them coffee." Confusion swept the chamber. The ambassador's glow dimmed. "Coffee? It's a drink," she explained. "Stimulates focus, encourages conversation. Sometimes we offer peace before people realize they want it. And when that fails, we keep the caffeine for ourselves. It keeps the hands steady." The chamber reacted in overlapping layers of disbelief and fascination. A mechanical envoy from the Vest collective word. "Are you implying chemical enhancement of soldiers?" Amelia smiled. "Only their morning routines." Several delegates scribbled frantic notes. The human ability to make warfare sound like a lifestyle choice unsettled them more than open aggression ever could. The Cerosian historian cleared his throat. General Hayes, the Council has observed that your species rarely accepts surrender. You insist on unconditional compliance. Is this doctrine? Her voice softened, almost tender. No. It's habit. We learned that mercy without memory breeds repetition. So we make sure lessons stick. The chamber fell quiet. Even the hum of the translation matrix seemed to pause. The Chancellor's eyes narrowed. You speak as though you have mastered conflict itself. Amelia's gaze swept across the assembly. Hundreds of faces, each reflecting fear, arrogance, or calculation. Mastered? No. We just made peace with what we are. And once you do that, victory stops being complicated. Her wrist display blinked once, unnoticed by most. Back in Earth's orbital command, a coded signal confirmed her presence and the initiation of Demonstration Phase Alpha. The Council's presiding arbiter, a crystalline entity that refracted starlight through its body, struck the dais with a resonant chime. This hearing shall continue tomorrow at second rotation. The human representative will prepare a transparent report on Earth's methodology. Amelia rose, smoothing the crease in her uniform. Transparency. Perfect word choice. She gathered her datapad, offered a courteous nod. Tomorrow, I'll bring something to make it clearer. The Chancellor growled. You will provide written data, not your planet's theatrics. Of course, she replied with a serene smile. But sometimes understanding requires a little sound and motion. As she turned to leave, her boots echoed in deliberate rhythm. Steady, human, unervingly calm. Behind her, whispers erupted. She smiles too much, hissed the Vorn strategist. She's hiding something, muttered the Cerosian. The Arleth ambassador merely trembled and said, They always hide something. In the corridor beyond the council doors, Amelia exhaled softly, as if releasing the tension she had invited. Her adjutant, a young lieutenant waiting by the wall, straightened. How'd it go, ma'am? She offered a thin grin. They want to know how we win wars so fast. The lieutenant hesitated. You told them? Not yet. She looked out through the glass toward Vale 9's storm bands, the lightning like veins beneath the clouds. Tomorrow, we'll show them the difference between curiosity and invitation. The lieutenant followed her gaze. And if they panic? Amelia's reflection smiled back at her in the window. Calm, deliberate, unreadable. Then, Lieutenant, the lesson begins. The chamber doors sealed behind her, locking in the echoes of uneasy laughter and the faint, lingering scent of coffee. The council believed they had summoned a specimen for study. They never noticed the quiet precision with which the specimens studied them in return. The first spark of panic had already been politely delivered. The next day began with artificial sunrise rippling through the Galactic Council's dome, washing the chamber in soft gold. Delegates filed in with nervous glances and hidden translators flickering in their palms. Rumors had spread overnight. The human was bringing something called demonstration materials. Most of the council expected a presentation, a polite report. No one expected the polished crates that arrived first. They were marked with bold letters that read, Earth Defense Logistics, handle with love. The word love confused everyone. General Amelia Hayes followed her shipment in a calm stride, a steaming cup of tea in her hand instead of the infamous coffee. She smiled at the clerks, thanked the insectoid guards who flanked the chamber doors, and nodded toward the council. Morning, everyone. I figured tea might be less stimulating today. The KLY Thor Chancellor squinted. We were promised a tactical briefing, not a beverage lesson. Patience, Amelia said gently. Everything about humans, Chancellor, starts with what we drink. Tea for thinking, coffee for doing. You wanted to know how we win wars? It begins with this. She sipped slowly, letting the silence stretch until it became a thread pulled too tight. Then she tapped a console, and the chamber dimmed as a vast hologram of Earth appeared above the table, a swirling blue orb circled by glowing battle data. Step 1, she said. Logistics. Every war is won by whoever eats first, shoots second, and sleeps third. Our soldiers run on caffeine, sugar, and sheer spite. The rest is just paperwork. The Sarosian historian blinked through translucent eyelids. That is, not a recognized doctrine. Exactly, Amelia replied. That's why it works. The projection shifted to show grainy footage of human troops sharing cans of something labeled spam under artillery fire. Laughter and country music echoed faintly through the holographic soundscape. The aliens stared, bewildered. The Arlith ambassador rippled blue in confusion. They sing in the middle of battle? Amelia nodded. Morale. Keeps the panic down. If you can joke about dying, you usually don't. The Vorn strategist clicked his mandibles irritably. This is not strategy, this is madness. She smiled. You're catching on. A few chuckles broke the tension. Some nervous, some genuine. She gestured toward another data feed, showing a desert combat zone where human soldiers painted cartoon faces on their vehicles. When you name your weapons, they fight harder for you. That superstition mixed with psychology works wonders. The Chancellor snarled. You are toying with this council, General. Not at all, she replied with infuriating calm. You asked how we win wars fast. We don't rely on bigger guns. We rely on faster minds and uglier humor. The chamber darkened again as another image appeared. A holographic map of the Zath rebellion. Amelia narrated evenly, each word precise. We faced overwhelming numbers. So we studied them. Found that their command relied on ritual timing. We moved during their prayer cycle. They thought we'd dishonor the custom. We simply didn't share it. The Sarosian historian's voice trembled. You exploited faith? We respected efficiency, she corrected. If your enemy kneels, don't interrupt. Just move quietly around them. Murmurs rose, half disgust, half admiration. Amelia set her tea down and leaned on the table. Her tone softened into something almost friendly. You see, we don't like war. But we hate losing more. That's the difference. Her assistant flicked another switch. Charts flared. Casualty ratios, surrender timelines, rapid peace treaties. Every number defied logic. The crystalline arbiter resonated sharply. This efficiency borders on cruelty. Cruelty? She echoed. No. Pragmatism. We don't waste time pretending war can be clean. We treat it like surgery. Get in, stop the bleeding, get out. The Arlith ambassador pulsed anxiously. And when the patient is, the galaxy? Amelia's eyes glinted with something too human. Then you better hope the surgeon's steady. The tension was electric now, thick enough to hum against the chamber's curved walls. Still, she kept her tone casual, almost conversational. Another secret? We weaponize mistakes. Humans improvise better than we plan. That's why your simulations can't predict us. You fight with equations, we fight with emotions and caffeine. The council erupted in layered languages, some clicking, some roaring. Amelia let them argue until the noise became its own proof. Then she raised a single finger. Silence fell like a guillotine. I see confusion, she said. Allow me to clarify. She clapped her hands once, and the crates opened. Inside, metallic frames unfolded into tripods with mounted relics. Human light machine guns, scarred and restored, the letters U.S. Army etched faintly on their sides. Several guards stepped forward, alarmed, but Amelia waved them down. These, she said lightly, are antiques. Used before plasma weapons existed. They fire small bits of metal very fast. Loud, messy, terrifying. Completely obsolete. Except they still work. The Chancellor hissed. You brought weapons into the council chamber? Exhibits, she corrected. History lessons. You wanted a live demonstration, didn't you? We expected projections. Well, she said, pouring herself more tea. Humans learn better by doing. A spark of panic flashed across several alien faces. Even the crystalline arbiter vibrated uneasily. Amelia ignored it, adjusting the holographic target range now projected above the council floor. We'll use holographic drones, no harm done. The Arlith ambassador quivered. Noise levels from such devices. Oh, don't worry, Amelia interrupted cheerfully. You'll get used to it after the first burst. Her assistant armed the LMGs with a gentle hum. The machines clicked alive, barrels rotating. The council guards drew weapons, but the arbiters signaled them to hold. Everyone leaned back, instincts screaming. Amelia didn't fire yet. She simply rested her hand on the grip and looked around the room. You wanted to know how we win wars so fast. It's not the tools. It's the people behind them. We're impatient, adaptable, and slightly insane. Her words hung heavy, part confession, part warning. She turned to the Chancellor. We built peace out of panic. Every victory you've studied began as desperation. Humans don't plan for survival, we expect chaos and turn it into rhythm. The Vorn strategist murmured, Rhythm. Amelia smiled faintly. You'll see tomorrow. She disengaged the weapon, its metallic clack echoing like thunder restrained. Then she closed the crate and stepped back from the podium. That concludes today's lesson in tactical madness. Tomorrow, I'll demonstrate organized chaos. The Arlith ambassador whispered something in its native clicks that the translator refused to repeat. The Serosian historian scribbled trembling notes. Humans treat war like art. Laughter as camouflage. Amelia lifted her teacup once more, its steam curling like a halo around her face. Same time tomorrow, everyone. Bring ear protection. She turned toward the exit. Behind her, the council chamber buzzed with argument, outrage mixing with awe. The Chancellor slammed the table, shouting that humanity's recklessness endangered the stars. Others murmured that perhaps the stars had already chosen their apex species. Outside, Amelia's adjutant met her with wide eyes. Ma'am, was that wise? She shrugged. Wisdom's overrated. Clarity's better. And the demonstration? Oh, it'll be loud, she said, sipping the last of her tea as the corridor lights dimmed around her. But nothing teaches truth like a little noise. Somewhere deep beneath the chamber floor, a dormant signal pulsed once, a heartbeat of code waiting for her command. The demonstration had already begun, only the council didn't know it yet. The council chamber was silent when Amelia Hayes returned. No laughter, no whispers, just the mechanical hum of translators preparing for whatever the human might do next. Every delegate sat rigid, eyes fixed on the crates she had promised would contain the truth. The dome's ceiling dimmed to a dusk-blue glow as she stepped into the center of the hall, her boots ringing softly on the obsidian floor. Good morning, she said pleasantly. I hope everyone slept well. Humans usually don't before a demonstration, but I admire optimism. The KLY Thor Chancellor's silver scales shimmered with tension. General Hayes, this council forbids live weapons fire in session. Noted, she replied. We'll use simulations. No casualties, unless someone has a heart condition. Nervous murmurs followed. Amelia gestured to her aide, who opened the crates. The same old metallic tripods unfolded once again, sleek, black, and alien in their simplicity. The barrels caught the chamber light like the eyes of predators. The smell of oiled steel filled the air, foreign in a galaxy accustomed to sterile plasma and silent death. This, Amelia began, her tone lecturing but gentle, is called an LMG, light machine gun. Outdated, yes, but beautifully honest. It doesn't whisper, it roars. That's what makes it human. She ran her fingers along the cold metal, as though greeting an old friend. Her gesture wasn't violent, it was affectionate. Every alien in the room could feel it, a bond between creator and creation that unnerved them. I was told, she continued, that you wanted to understand how Earth wins wars so fast. You've studied our technology, our history, our diplomacy. What you missed, her smile sharpened, is our noise. The simulation field activated. The floor shimmered, projecting an endless desert battlefield. The council gasped as holographic enemies formed, towering robotic figures modeled after known galactic armies. The air vibrated with distant wind and static. Observe, Amelia said. She squeezed the trigger. The chamber exploded with sound. The LMG's thunder cracked against the walls, echoing like a storm trapped in a cathedral. Every alien flinched, some ducked under their seats. Even the crystal arbiter's form fractured briefly under the decibel shock. Sparks of simulated sand flew as the weapon spat streaks of light and heat, tearing through the holographic army. Then silence. Only the faint hiss of cooling metal remained. Amelia exhaled slowly, setting the weapon upright with reverence. "Loud, crude, terrifyingly effective," she said softly. "Half the battle is won before the first bullet hits. You see, your species build weapons to eliminate. Humans build them to announce." The Sorosian historian trembled visibly. "You frighten your enemies by sound?" "And by choice," she replied. "We fight knowing we can stop any time. We just rarely do." The Vorn strategist leaned forward. "But surely such chaos costs control?" "Control," Amelia said, "is a myth. The battlefield doesn't care about your equations. We thrive because we accept that." She reset the simulation. The holographic terrain shifted into an urban ruin. Buildings half collapsed, smoke curling from invisible fires. "Now, let's talk about adaptation." A second LMG unfolded beside her. This time, she didn't fire. Instead, she handed the grip to her aide. "Lieutenant, you're left-handed, aren't you?" "Yes, ma'am." "Show them." The lieutenant switched the gun's alignment without hesitation, and began firing in sweeping bursts. The sound shook the chamber again, a rhythmic thunder. Amelia spoke over it, calm and steady. "Every soldier is different. We don't standardize instinct, we harness it. Every human on a battlefield is their own variable." The Vorn strategist muttered, "That's terrifying." "Exactly." The simulation ended once more. The council sat stunned, the faint scent of gunpowder lingering though no real bullet had been fired. Amelia clasped her hands behind her back, voice softening. "Your empires rely on predictability. Ours relies on chaos shaped by discipline. You prepare for battles. We prepare for disasters." The Chancellor stood abruptly, claws scraping the table. "Enough theatrics. What purpose does this display serve?" Amelia regarded him evenly. "Understanding. You think war is about strength. It's about speed, of thought, of reaction, of mercy. When humans go to war, we make sure it ends before anyone has time to call it one." The crystalline arbiter flickered uneasily. "And if the other side refuses peace?" She smiled faintly. "Then they learn faster." Laughter rippled weakly through a few of the bolder delegates, but most were silent, their minds grinding against an unfamiliar realization. Humanity didn't just fight wars, they rewrote the meaning of them. Then, something shifted. A low hum rolled through the chamber. The projection screens flickered. A faint pulse of code flashed across every console. Guards looked up in confusion. Amelia didn't react. "Is there interference?" The arbiter asked sharply. "Probably," Amelia said, too casually. "Our systems tend to integrate with everything. It's a side effect of curiosity." The KLY Thor Chancellor's eyes narrowed. "What did you install?" She met his glare with quiet amusement. "You invited our tech into your network when you approved the simulation. We just accepted the invitation." The hum deepened into a steady rhythm, like a giant heartbeat beneath the floor. Lights dimmed, then stabilized. A faint blue sigil, the emblem of Earth's Defense Coalition, flickered across the Council's grand display, replacing the Concordium crest. Gasps erupted. The Chancellor bared his fangs. "You've breached a galactic system." "Breached?" Amelia said innocently. "No, Chancellor. Backed up. You see, this whole meeting was at risk of being misinterpreted. We prefer to keep records accurate." Security droids activated, weapons drawn, but froze mid-motion as their control uplinks blinked out. Amelia didn't move. Her voice remained even, polite. "Please don't worry. They're in standby mode. We don't want any accidents." The tension crackled like static. Her aide glanced nervously at her, but Amelia's expression never changed. She turned back to the council with the same composure one might use when delivering a weather report. This was a demonstration of two things, she said. First, our tactics. Second, our reach. When humanity arrives, we don't conquer, we synchronize. No one spoke. Even the translators hesitated. She looked around, her tone soft again, almost maternal. You asked for transparency. Consider this a preview. The next phase, if necessary, is full disclosure. The council sat frozen between fury and awe. The hum beneath the chamber faded, leaving only the faint echo of the gunfire still trapped in their minds. Amelia stepped away from the podium, gathered her datapad, and smiled warmly. That concludes today's demonstration. Tomorrow, we discuss diplomacy. She walked out as the council erupted behind her, arguing, panicking, demanding explanations. She didn't look back. Her voice drifted through the open doors like a calm aftershock. Don't worry, gentlemen. Humanity's always polite before the panic. The council chamber reeked of tension. The walls themselves seemed to hold their breath as the delegates reconvened, shaken but unwilling to admit fear. The demonstration had ended only hours before, yet the echo of thunderous gunfire still haunted their minds. No one dared mention the symbol that had replaced the Concordium crest. The emblem of Earth lingered in memory, like an afterimage of lightning. General Amelia Hayes entered quietly, without fanfare, carrying only a single folder and a cup of coffee steaming against the cold air. "Good afternoon," she said, her voice warm, courteous, almost tender. "Before we begin, I'd like to thank everyone for the patience they've shown. It takes courage to question a species like mine. Truly." Her politeness was more unnerving than any weapon. The KLY Thor Chancellor sat rigid, his claws drumming the table. "General Hayes, your demonstration violated half our security protocols. Explain yourself before I—" Amelia raised one hand, palm outward. "Please. No threats. It's unbecoming of leaders." Her gaze traveled the room, calm and unhurried. "You want an explanation? Fine. You asked how Earth wins wars so fast. The answer is simple. We prepare for them long before they start." The crystalline arbiter flickered with suspicion. "Your demonstration was an act of intrusion. Every system, every terminal, every drone, you compromised them all." "I prefer the term inspection," she said gently. "Your systems were insecure. We simply demonstrated that your defense depends on good manners and outdated firewalls." Several delegates hissed. The Sorosian historian leaned forward, voice trembling. "You turned the council hall into a weapon range. Then you hijacked our network. Is this your idea of diplomacy?" Amelia's smile thinned. "No. This is my idea of honesty." She set the folder on the table. The hollow paper inside shimmered with classified transmissions, secret arms deals, coded black market negotiations, proof that the council had been selling Earth's technology to frontier warlords. The delegates froze. The evidence was irrefutable. The Chancellor's scales flushed dark. "Where did you get this?" "From your archives," she replied. "You left the door open. We walked in." Outrage rippled through the chamber. The Vorn strategist slammed his clawed hand against the table. "This is blackmail." "Correction," Amelia said, her tone clinical now. "It's accountability. You wanted transparency, remember? We simply illuminated what was already festering in the dark." The crystalline arbiter pulsed faintly, voice barely audible. "You came here knowing this." "Of course," Amelia said. "The council didn't summon humanity to learn. You summoned us to control. You feared what you couldn't predict, so you meant to bind us with treaties written in deceit." Her words hit with surgical precision. One by one, the delegates fell silent, realizing the trap had closed long before they'd noticed the bait. The chamber lights flickered. A tremor passed through the station as ships outside realigned in orbit. Several aliens glanced at their wrist comms. No signal. Amelia's comm never wavered. "For safety reasons," she said, "we've restricted outgoing transmissions. Don't be alarmed. It's temporary. You're blocking our communications." The Chancellor roared. She nodded politely. Yes, but consider it an opportunity for reflection. You asked how we win wars. This is how, by ensuring the other side can't call for help. Her aide stepped forward and placed a small device on the table. It projected a live feed of space, a dozen human fleets positioned across the sector, each formation surgical, precise. The stars behind them burned like the edges of drawn knives. Amelia folded her arms. Every ship you see arrived before I did. We prefer to have contingencies. My visit wasn't a request, it was a courtesy call. The Cerosian historian whispered. You planned this summit as bait. Amelia's eyes softened. Not bait. Prevention. The Council's corruption had already sparked conflicts on 6 worlds. We couldn't allow it to spread. The Arbiter flickered uncertainly. And if we resist? Then the demonstration becomes real. Her tone never rose, but it carried the weight of inevitability. You'd lose, not because we're stronger, but because we don't stop once we begin. Silence stretched. Beyond the chamber windows, human ships maneuvered like silent predators, engines glowing faintly blue. No one doubted their readiness. The Council had witnessed humanity's capacity for chaos. Now they were seeing its discipline. The Chancellor slumped back, voice lower. What do you want, General? Peace, she said simply. But the kind that lasts. Effective peace requires enforcement, and your Council has failed at that. Earth will take responsibility for stabilization until the Concordium earns trust again. The Vorn strategist sneered. You mean occupation? She met his gaze steadily. We call it stewardship. You've had millennia to manage order and chose bureaucracy over balance. Humanity doesn't have patience for endless meetings. Her words stung precisely because they rang true. The Council, once proud and untouchable, looked like an ancient empire confronted with its own decay. The Arbiter shimmered faintly. And if we agree to your terms? Amelia smiled, genuinely this time. Then the fleets leave orbit, the records remain sealed, and we rebuild, together. Humanity believes in forgiveness, though we practice it less often than we preach it. The Chancellor's voice broke the pause. And if we refuse? Amelia took a slow sip of her coffee. Then you'll learn why our soldiers call me the negotiator. The chamber's security droids reactivated under human command, aligning silently at every exit. Not a threat, just insurance. She placed her cup down, the clink echoing through the hall like a verdict. We don't start wars to win them quickly. We end them before they begin. You thought we were reckless, impulsive, primitive. But we're none of those things. We're deliberate. Every war you've seen us fight ended because we decided it was time to stop playing nice. The delegates exchanged looks of dawning comprehension and fear. The balance of power had shifted, and there was no reclaiming it. Amelia glanced toward the massive window overlooking Vale 9. Lightning shimmered beneath the planet's clouds, mirroring the quiet storm in her eyes. When humanity joined this council, we came with open hands. You mistook that for weakness. You forgot that open hands can also close into fists. Her voice dropped to a whisper that carried through every translator. You asked for secrets, and we gave you truth. You asked for peace, and we brought you control. The difference between the two is how politely you listen. The Arbiter finally spoke again, its crystalline body dimming in reluctant surrender. Earth will have provisional oversight for 1 rotation. After that, the Council will reassess. Amelia inclined her head. Fair enough. 1 rotation should be plenty to remind the galaxy how fragile arrogance can be. She gathered her folder, tucking it neatly under her arm. Her smile returned, warm, disarming, utterly human. Thank you all for your cooperation. Consider this operation concluded. She turned to leave, and as the doors parted, her voice drifted back like a promise carved in calm steel. You'll find your systems restored in 20 minutes. And your pride, eventually. The Council sat in stunned silence long after she was gone. Outside, the human fleets peeled away in perfect formation, vanishing into the void as quietly as they had arrived. No explosions, no conquest, only the lingering realization that the most dangerous weapon in the galaxy had been a smile, a handshake, and the promise that Earth was always polite, right before the panic.